Hello, my name is Godfrey Chikumbi, and I'm glad to announce the arrival of the Godfrey Chikumbi Football Podcast. Yes, it is finally here. This is your premier platform for storytelling by the living football legends, the retired, and those that are actively involved in the game. But of course, this platform is open to coaches, to referees, the central figures in the game from whom we shouldn't hog the limelight away. On this very first episode of the Godfrey Chikumbi Football Podcast, we are privileged to host one of Zambia's most celebrated midfield generals. He is one of the few Zambians to have played in the English Premiership and the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome to the Godfrey Chikumbi Football Podcast, FREDDIE MWILA, the legend himself. Uncle Fred, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
I am glad that you accepted to be the first guest. You're actually the first guest on this podcast.
Okay.
Let's begin from the beginning.
Okay.
Tell us something about you. Who is FREDDIE MWILA? I know this is a tired question. Where did it begin from? Where were you born? Where did you go to school? Everything. For the sake of the Gen Zs, my little brothers, and our children, the Alpha Gen.
Okay. I have a long story to tell. I was born in Kasama. And in 1953, we moved to the Copper Belt, Kitwe. I went to a school called Danba. It was just a community school. But eventually we moved on to after sub B, after A, B, standard 1, we were transferred to Vuseko Primary School. And from Vuseko Primary School, my parents moved to Kampemba. Kampemba was a compound next to Mindolo Stream. And from Mindolo Stream, you could see the school a distance away, but more or less like a stone's throw. So my parents suggested that I transfer to Mindolo. Then from Mindolo, Kalela School. After transferring to Kalela School, I mixed with a lot of youngsters that I found at Usakile Market. My guardians at the time had a grocery at Usakile Market. But from Mindolo, we lived in Kampemba. So I had to move to Usakile. My mother took me to see my uncle, Mr. Tisanga. I managed to stay there by hook or crook.
Where was that? Where your uncle was?
Usakile.
Okay.
He was a retired miner. I say by hook or crook because the way I moved, my parents weren't too happy. My grandmother wasn't happy. I moved. I didn't even tell them I'm moving. I moved to Usakile when my mother discussed with my uncle that
you should go back.
I should go back to Kampemba. But then my friends, the ones I saw playing football, when they were discussing, I drifted to watch a football game over the fence. But I was invited by my friends there to join in. When I joined in, I turned out to be the star. So I dribbled those guys and they liked how I played.
Right.
Then my mother said, let's go to Kampemba. We went the first time, but my friends insisted that I get back to playing with them.
They protested.
They protested. I promised them that I would come back next week after school. On Saturday, I was on my feet. I ran to Usakile Market. Then when we played, I was the star of the game. From there on, they didn't want me to go. I was lucky that the person who worked in my uncle's shop, Mr. Smart Lombe, told me I could stay with them at the market. The market had stands, and I slept in. We slept in the marketplace.
So, Uncle, we're already diving into your incredible world of football. So
Yes.
you're telling me because of football, you chose to sleep at the market?
I had no choice because those guys wanted me to be with them the next day to play. And it was normal. People were not aggressive to children who slept at the market.
You had no junkies then?
No. There were no junkies. In fact, they used to send us to buy them chibuku from Lidl Cinema.
Okay.
And then they tip you 6 pence or they give you a shilling.
What would you do with that money?
A shilling was good money then. We played Bojo, Chibojoela, if you know what I mean. Dice. We played,
Okay, dice?
yes. We played dice with people mostly from Mazabuka because Mazabuka people brought chickens to sell at the market and they were interested to see us play dice. To bring the story together,
Yes.
at Kalela School, my friends liked the way I played football. I went to the school and I was admitted at Kalela School. So I started going with my friends to Kalela School and we played at break times and walked back to the market. But Kalela is just a few yards from Scrivener Stadium. We had some people making noise. We ventured. We found these people playing football. And they were hitting the ball. The ball would sail the goalpost. And we started picking
The ball.
the balls, yes. We liked it because it was a lot of fun picking the ball.
As ball boys.
As ball boys. So the man there told us to be coming for training to pick the balls. And his name was Mr. Herbert Chime.
That name is popular in Zambian football.
Yes. He's former manager of the Zambian national
team.
Yes. But he played number 4 for Rhokana United. He said, you boys must be coming. And as a group, we used to go to the stadium. The stadium is built like a basketball house. And then you would buy buns or scones, as you call them. Then we would bet if you score one goal in the opposite door of the dressing rooms, you gain the ban. So
Utela mabani.
utela mabansi. So ngabashita 6 nena lady hapo nangu 4.
Wow.
Bantu twale umoto mashoti na tennis boy dia. Ngai ya mudo ya ingira ko wayasenda po one. And eventually he told us, no, come as ball boys during the National League
Match day.
days. We were quite a few chaps going to Scrivener Stadium. People like Anderson Musonda, I remember, he's in the UK now. He's an accountant. Godfrey Chikumbi, he's late now. John Dimas, I don't know where he is. Peter Mitetele, we called him. He's somewhere. Piano Mpundu, a few that I can remember. We were quite a tough group now playing together as a team. Then eventually we were lucky. We registered for Usakile North Youth Club. Usakile North Youth Club, the sports administrator there, Mr. Risk, got an invitation from Zimbabwe. They wanted a team that played under 5 foot youngsters. So we were organized and traveled to Zimbabwe at under 5 foot.
So that was your first international trip?
That was our first international trip in 1961.
And how old were you? That was before independence?
Before independence, must have been 15 or 16 or so.
Wow.
Around that age.
How did you travel? By bus or you flew?
We went by train.
By train?
Second class train was, we had bed sheets, white bed sheets.
Very clean and serene.
Very smart.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of players were discovered from that trip. Stone Chubwe, the late Stone Chubwe, came from that group. Bidon Banda, Stephen Mau Mau. You know, we had quite a serious team. We went to Bulawayo. In Bulawayo, I met people like the late Boniface Mtowe, Simon Kapende, Sande Kaposa, and I think Fortson Kavole. We met there.
Fortson Kavole?
Yes.
Wow.
Eventually, he played for Rhokana United, but he was influenced. I influenced him to come to Rhokana United.
So Rhokana is this present-day Kalampa Nkana.
Nkana,
and
yes.
we'll get to there. So tell us what happened in Zimbabwe.
We played our junior games, and after our time there, the biggest thing that happened, I met my father there.
Oh.
When I was about 14 years.
Interesting. It was the first time you were meeting him?
It was the first time I was meeting him. He took me to his house in Bulawayo, in Juve Township.
Okay.
And eventually I went back to the team when we returned home.
So at what point did you sign for Rhokana?
We played in 1964 now. We played in the reserves after going to Rwanshimba School. Mm-hmm. Rwanshimba was a boarding school for, I think, juvenile delinquencies. Yeah. The minors had their children who went to Rwanshimba Secondary School. But it became a solid team when we got there. We played a lot of football. Some people played rugby. Some people did other sports. Mm-hmm. And then a white man there, Mr. Arnold, came to watch us play football. And he volunteered to coach our youngsters. Well, I was a youngster then. After a while, he said, no, see, I can't make it to come to Rwanshimba all the time. Let the bus from Scrivener Stadium pick you up from here. You train at Scrivener.
Who owned the Scrivener Stadium?
The mines. So the bus would come from Scrivener. They pick us from Rwanshimba School. Rwanshimba had Eric Chekoloko, mm-hmm. Bandage Kaunda, mm-hmm. Lazarus Musomali, Simon Musakanya. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, players, renowned players there. And
those were schoolboys.
Those were schoolboys. They put us in the reserves. In that year, we never lost a reserve game. We made sure that our team won the game because we needed money for school.
Okay. So there was some monetary gain from playing for the reserves.
We could get, if you play in the first team and you win, you get £3.
Oh,
If you lose, you don't get anything. But the reserves, we used to get 3 shillings. You win, you get 3 shillings. You lose,
you don't get anything.
you don't get anything. You draw 1 and 6.
Fast forward.
Yes.
Let's now talk about your experience. At what point did you get to play for Rhokana? Because I understand when I was doing my little research
Yes.
that you turned professional abroad
Yes.
in 1967. That was too early for you. So share that story with us.
Okay. After playing in 1964, the reserve, we were promoted to play in the first team. And
For Rhokana.
For Rhokana United. Our first game, we played against Roan United. Roan United had people like Ginger Pencil, Nkumba, Happy George Banda, Dyson Mugala, Ken Banda, Augustine Wadia. They were a renowned team. In fact, we even had African Stanley Matthews in our time.
Okay.
Dick Katongo. That was our first game. They beat us, I think, 9-1. But I scored the penalty.
First ever.
Yes.
So, stylish Roan had humiliated you like that.
I tell you.
Okay.
It was embarrassing. But our team manager then was Mr. Musakanya, Albert Musakanya, former Zambia team manager.
Familiar team.
He came in the dressing room to, praise us. Boys, you played against the mighty of Zambia football. For losing 9-1, you have done well. Next year, you are going to beat this team. We were encouraged by Mr. Musakanya.
That was good.
Yes. So we played 1965. I was fortunate I was picked to play for Zambia.
That time, 1965.
1965. I was picked to play for Zambia, and our first game was in Malawi. We flew to Malawi for the first time. I sat on a plane
In 1965?
In 1965.
What was the experience like with your peers on the plane?
We had a jovial time because they were great players on that team. Samuel Somunjovu.
He was there?
Yes, he was the captain. And Ginger Pencil, Augustino Ngungu, Dixon Makwaza.
Wow.
And a few others. It was quite an experience.
Share with me, Uncle Fred, what did it take for one to be selected by the national team, and who was your coach at that time?
We were more or less capable to select the Zambia team.
It was dominated by Kopala?
Yes. People like Zumunjovu stood as our leaders. We had selectors from a lot of copper belt clubs. It was interesting.
You had to show character.
I mean, for you to be picked, you had something. For me, for instance, I scored my first hat trick in Malawi.
On the same first trip?
On the same trip. We didn't stay in a hotel. We stayed at the University of Malawi. When we went there, when we returned from the game, we were hosted by the students. They picked me as the best player. And Henry Kalimukwa, that time, he was my partner. He played number 11, I played number 10.
Okay.
Zumunjovu was usually number 10. I was number 8. And on that team, we had people like Amato. Amato the danger. You wouldn't know. Amato played for Ndola United.
Oh,
So his name, they nicknamed him the danger because he was dangerous.
Why?
He was too clever for the opponent.
Okay.
And when you played against, or when you played with people like Zumunjov, it was like, you knew what you were doing. Afterwards, you would say, come on, boys, come here. What? Quickly, when the ball goes out, he says, come on, do this, do that. And because we were clever, we made our movement. So thereafter, we came back. That 1965.
Was that an international friendly? Or?
It was an international friendly.
Okay.
Then we started playing teams from Kenya. We played teams from Kenya. We played return games from Malawi. We went to a competition again in East Africa. We played in Kisumu, Nairobi, Kisumu, and the other one, Nakuru.
Oh, yeah.
We played those friendly games.
Look, before I think that we now switch to your professional, career in America and England, and I would like to find out from you
how I got to England.
You first of all, you said you played for the national team in 1965, and you never slept in a posh hotel on your first international trip.
Yes.
You were hosted by Malawi University.
Yes.
What was the motivating factor? Was it for the badge then, or it was for the money? How much did you gain by playing for the
I don't
national
remember getting any money at all.
Where did you draw the pride from?
To put on that Zambia shirt was something. The pride was just too much. At home, you went into town, everybody, hello, we were happy like that. Pulling on that Zambia shirt was something before. There was no this business of asking for money. Nobody asked for money. I don't remember. The only thing they gave us was a jacket.
And that was it. It was enough.
That was enough.
Okay.
For you to wear that jacket, you must have been good.
Wow.
So 1965, I played those international games. And in 1964, I will link it to the selection of my going to America.
Yes, that's where I want us to go now.
See, Zambia were getting independence, and they were about to play Ghana in a friendly international in 1964.
Away or at home?
At home.
Okay.
And I was a boy at Scrivener Stadium, as I told you before. I watched that game. After 64, the coach of the national team was a white man, Phil Woosnam. He was invited by Rothmans of Pongo to come and coach the national team.
Okay.
With his mate, Ian Greaves. Phil Woosnam and Ian Greaves were invited to come to Zambia. So in their spare time, they wanted to see how Zambian boys, they were amazed to see Zambian boys play football barefoot.
On the streets.
On the streets. So they asked the officials, where can we see boys who can play football here? They said, there's a school, a mine school. at Luasimba Secondary School.
Okay.
So these two coaches came to the school. When few arrived, he threw some footballs there. He says, do anything you do
with this ball.
So he saw me touch the ball.
You juggled.
I juggled the ball. And when he walked in, he says, come as a group. We ran to him as a group. He says, pass the ball. I passed the ball. He says, I like the way you pass the ball. Wow. Pass it again. I passed it to him again. And he says, okay, when we play a 20-minute game, I'm going to be on your side. I want you to pass the ball to me.
To me.
Just like you are doing.
Okay.
I said, fine, I'll try. After the game there, he was the first person who was more excited than Phil was our sports master. Because when I passed the ball to him, he didn't expect that I'll fetch him again. So Mr. Mwila was very excited. He said, yes, this is very good, Mr. Basil Mwila. And then the coach there says, where did you learn to play football here? How come you pass the ball so well?
With precision.
He says, I haven't seen this in a long time. So he left to go to... no, he left now to go to England.
Oh, to England, okay.
And when he was in England, I believe he got a chance to coach a team in America, Atlanta Chiefs.
Atlanta Chiefs.
Yes. Eventually, he came back to Zambia to look for players to go with him to America. He picked on Emen Kapengwe, picked on Howard Makuta, he picked on Samuel Zumunjovu, and a few others. He asked for me, what about this young man
I saw?
Yes, FREDDIE MWILA. He said, no, he's not there, he's in Nairobi.
Oh, you had gone to Kenya?
I had gone to Kenya to do a salesmanship course.
Not on a football mission?
Not on a football mission. He says, no, I want that player to, I want to take him to America. So they sent in those days, a telegram.
Yes, telegram.
They sent a telegram that I should, without fail, meet Phil Wisdom at Mbakase Airport in Nairobi.
So that flight was made specifically for you?
I mean, he came to pick us. He picked 3 players. And they didn't mention in the telegram that it was football. They just said they want this man without fail. Fortunately, in an international game that we played, I made friends with a guy who worked for Rossmans of Pomo, Niva Jonathan. He had a car in Nairobi.
Okay.
I said, Niva, this is what is happening. We got a telegram, Phil is coming. Can you give us a lift to the airport? He said, okay, you will come to pick us to go to the airport. I was with a mate of mine, Mr. Muhango. He eventually became my mulamu. Okay. He had a sister eventually. So I went with him to the airport. Immediately the plane landed and few saw that I was standing there. It was like he had seen some ghost or
the
something.
Excitement. He didn't expect to find you.
He didn't expect to find me. So he says, okay, I'm pleased that I found you. I want to see you tomorrow. He didn't mention anything. And we didn't know that he was on this trip. We knew he was from Zambia to meet us in Nairobi. Then he says, let's meet at Stanley Hotel tomorrow morning. You should be there by 9 o'clock. We stayed at the YMCA in Nairobi. So by 9 o'clock, we were at Stanley Hotel, and Few was there. He organized a table for us to sit. First, they gave us breakfast. Afterwards, he says, let's sit by the corner there. Then he brought in these forms, and he broke the news that I've come here to look for you. I want to take you to America.
How did you feel receiving such?
Now I started sweating. My armpits were just water there. Me going to America. To do what in America? To play football.
Was that excitement or you were nervous?
If they said they were selling me for a slave, I was going to say, please take me. I didn't know what to say. I got so excited.
Oh, wow.
Just sweating. My face was, sweat, full of sweat. He says, no, relax. He brought some pamphlets, books. I started looking at hotels. I started looking at the plane moving and all that. And he says, I'm taking you to America.
Wow.
Here's a contract form. Quickly, my hand was shaking.
Did you even read the content of the contract?
I didn't want to read. I thought he was going to change his mind. I signed the contract. And after signing the contract, we come here into Zambia. The news broke that we were going to America. 3 Zambians picked to play football.
So there was a media frenzy.
Every day, every morning.
In the papers.
In the papers, there would be some story about going to America.
So you, Ement, who else?
Howard Mwikuta.
Okay. The 3 of you.
The 3 of us. It was planned that we get our X-ray, our examination of... they didn't want people with TB.
Okay, in America.
In America. So they said we have to do an X-ray in Lusaka. I don't know what will happen, but Rothmans organized a trip for me to go to Lusaka. Then we stopped over in Kabwe to see Howard Mwikuta. Ement had already gone to Lusaka. He said we would find him in Lusaka for the doctor's examination. So when we stopped over in Kabwe, Howard was leaving his job from the railways.
He was working for the railways?
He was working for the railways.
And was a Warriors player?
Yes.
Okay.
So he said, let the Rothmans transport return to Kitwe. But we will leave tonight on a goods train to Lusaka. So I stayed at Howard's home, listening to the music, waiting for him to finish his stuff with Kabwe Waters management. Then in the evening, we jumped on the train to come to Lusaka. It was, that time it was, the goods train was going overnight. In the morning, it would arrive at the station in Lusaka. As we approached Lusaka, Howard said, we are jumping off from the train. I said, I've never jumped from a train.
Why?
He says, because they won't stop at Lusaka, they are stopping in Lilai. Oh. Now, I've never jumped the train before.
That was how people disembarked from a train?
He said, no, because we were not paying for the train.
Oh,
and
you sneaked into it?
Yes, because he was working for the railways. So he says, no, we jump off from the train. I've been told that the train won't stop in Lusaka. I said, okay. He jumped off himself.
Successfully?
He was a shunter. He went down, he kept shouting, jump off, Freddie, jump off. Then I threw my small suitcase. I threw myself out, hoping I was going to use my knees to on the suitcase. So I missed the suitcase and then fell on my knees.
Oh. And you needed them in America?
Yes. I needed them in the examination room in Lusaka first.
For the medicals?
For the medicals. When I got off, Howard was laughing. I picked a big stone wanting to hit him. I missed. Then I was a laughing stock. My trousers was torn.
There was blood?
And I was bleeding a bit on one of the knees.
The knees. But it wasn't that serious?
No, it was serious. I shook a bit. But I was fit then. The trip to America, even if I was injured, I was going to go. I was that determined. So after we went to the X-ray, it was a private clinic. They used the mallet to check our fitness or our alertness.
Using a mallet to hit you?
They hit the elbow, they hit the knees. So the doctor said we were fit.
Great. But they never saw the bruises?
I mean, what could I do? I brushed it off.
What did you put? Did you put some paint or ink?
I just brushed it off. And, but when they hit the mallet there, my knee went up. In the evening, we jumped on a bus to come back to Ndola. We were leaving the same morning.
From Ndola International?
From Ndola. No, not from International. From the old airport.
There was another one? There's another airport in Ndola.
Ndola Airport. Now there is Kapwepwe.
That's Kapwepwe.
Yeah, but
so there's Ndola Airport now.
Yes,
okay.
Ndola Airport.
That's the one I was referring to.
Yes.
Okay.
So we jumped on the plane in Ndola to travel to
Zambia Airways?
I think it was Zambia Airways.
Okay.
I have a picture where we are online going up to the plane. On the plane there,
tell us your experience.
Mr. Doug Summons from Mufulira. Mr. Doug Summons was a coach for Mufulira Blackpool. He was in touch with Phil Woosnam. He told Phil that he should look after us. I mean, he was our leader. When I got inside the plane, I sat on the chair there. Mr. Summons came with a very heavy coat.
To give you?
To give me. I complained. Why this old man, why is he giving me this?
You didn't know what was coming.
I didn't know what was coming. But he kept his hat. Freddie, take this. I took it. I wasn't happy. I protested, but he said, just keep it for me. Now, overnight, the hostess came to announce, get ready. We are about to go down. To go down? At Heathrow Airport.
In London?
You
are connecting from there?
We were connecting from there. So the plane stopped. Then the passengers, the hostess asked to disembark, and they opened the door. Then I knew that
You were in trouble.
we had jackets.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Summons came and took his jacket from me.
Uh-huh.
Now, he took his jacket, and when they opened the plane door, the cold that came from there.
Like you're in a refrigerator.
I never felt anything like that before. So I ran back, pushing people about, hey, you, where are you going? I am not coming out from here. It was very cold.
Now for
Now for then we were ushered quickly. No, go. You can't stay on the plane, son. There was a taxi waiting for us at London airport there. We ran onto the taxi. We went to the hotel, but then we thought we are going to rest. Now, Mr. Salmon said, no, you chaps, you don't know, you can't go to the States without football boots. You've got to buy new boots. Now we were worried. How are we going to go? Where are we buying? They say we are going to Lily Show. Lily Show had a sports shop in London.
So, Uncle, as we are heading towards the close of our conversation on the Godfrey Chikumbi Football Podcast, I'd like you now to take us through your American experience.
Yes.
With Atlanta Chiefs, which later came to be known as Atlanta Apollo.
Yes.
Because you are amongst the clubs you played for. There's Atlanta Chiefs. There's Atlanta Apollos, but
Yes.
I realized it was just one club. It changed the name because of the different ownership.
Yes.
Yeah, so what was it like? How many seasons were you there, and what was the experience like playing in America? Have you seen any change now in terms of how football has evolved, the current football that we play, modern football, and when as compared to the football that you played then?
Well, as we go to Atlanta there, Phil was at the airport. When he saw us, he ran to try and just greet us. Freddie, Emmett, hey, Howard, welcome. And they had those big taxis, those American big cars. We were ushered into that taxi to go to a hotel called the Dinkler Hotel.
As a pro.
Now we are pros. So when we got there, we found chaps from Jamaica, English players, and a Ghanaian that I had seen during their visit to Zambia in 1964.
Yeah.
Willie Evans. He was the captain of the Ghana team.
The Ghana team.
So I noticed this guy, I've seen him somewhere. So we were very jovial guy. He came, boys from Zambia, yes. Then few came in and told us, take a rest for the next 3 days. On Monday, you report to the stadium to start the work. So we rested for 3 days. And there was also a nice story with Willie Evans. Willie, because he was jovial and all that, we said, no, we want to have some window shopping. Now, because he was a big guy.
The Ghanaian guy?
The Ghanaian guy. He put on that Kwame Nkrumah Chitenge.
Yeah,
Afwala
the
Kwati.
apparel.
And he was looking more like a chief.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
We went walking. We went into this shop called Riches. We looked at the stuff. I mean, that time America was, compared to us, we didn't have those kind of clothes and all that. So as Willie was checking, I would say checking because he was picking things from here to there. That robe he was wearing fell. And the crowd that was there ran away from him.
Why?
And we also ran away from him because he was naked.
What did you see?
So Willie was just wearing a vest and a poked underwear.
Oh,
So
it was poked.
Yes. It had dots.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So we ran away from Willie and ran back to the hotel. Willie came back to the hotel. If you tell the manager that this happened, we are going to fight.
He was a bully.
He was a bully, and we didn't tell the manager what happened. He must have, I believe he's late now. Then the manager told us, they'd given us some money to buy warm clothing. And then we went for training.
The very first day.
The very first day, there were cameramen from all over the place. We were about 40 players from various countries. They gave us some drills in groups. We played the ball. Just like when few came to Ransimba. They gave us those pass and go.
To play with the ball.
Yes. And after that, we continued. We used to go, after training, we used to go to the doctor's mess to eat. Because we trained at Emory University in Atlanta, which is a few kilometers from downtown.
Okay.
And then when we finished training, we jumped back onto the taxi to get back to the hotel. After 1 month or so, the club was experiencing a lot of expenses. The manager told us they were going to lend us some money to buy cars so that we drive ourselves to. Yes. So they did that, and we moved into the village.
Okay. Found apartments there? Rent on your own?
No, we moved into the community.
Okay.
They had a house there.
Okay.
There was a lady called Mrs. Collins. She was now in charge of us for eating, and discipline.
Okay.
So we started our training and we were ready to start the league. Our first game was going to be in Baltimore Bays, they called them. We played our first game. I was sitting on the bench. I told the manager that I want to go back to Zambia.
Because you sat on the bench?
I sat on the bench. I was captain. When I left Zambia, I was captain of the national team.
Yes.
After the Nairobi trip.
Outing.
Yes.
You took over from Zoom?
No, I was made captain.
Right there?
Yes.
Okay.
In Zambia, I was captain of the team. I told few, I've never sat on the bench in Zambia. What am I doing here?
Just first game?
First game.
You are that upset?
I was very upset because I looked at the people playing in there. I said, I can play better than this.
So what was the coach's response?
So he says, no, let's wait until we get back to Atlanta. You can't go back from Baltimore to Zambia. If you have to go to be Atlanta.
It gave up on you, right?
Yes. So we went back to, after we were one down. A guy called Dennis Violet, he played for Manchester United. And I think in his last days, he moved to play in America. Scored their goal. We lost by 1-0.
And you are vindicated.
And I played 20 minutes of the last game.
But you're already frustrated.
That was the last game I sat on the bench during my stay in America. Because in the next game, I was playing on the
Starting
team.
11.
Yes. So America was good. Well, they gave us a few pennies there.
Not much.
No, well, something that we could live on.
Okay.
But
it wasn't like hefty salaries?
No, it wasn't. We were coming from a favored, I think, the first, Mr. Mutini, is a team there, had a deal to promote us as Zambians. And it wasn't like we were going into this thing.
For commercial reasons?
No.
Okay. It was about developing talent?
Yes.
Okay. So now, due to time, time will always not be our best ally.
Yes.
Would like to fast track this conversation to afford a chance to add the most interesting part is you played against Man City. You played against Man City when because they were champions.
Yes.
That was in 1968, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they came to Atlanta for pre-season.
Yes.
Yeah. What was the experience like playing against the English champions and scoring against them?
Well, when you're on a team, you can't play it alone. It's football. We made a very strong team in America. We had players from, like I explained before, we had players from, some of them were from Sweden. And when we played, we made a combination. The manager put us under heavy work. And when we played, for us, for them, they were visiting. For us, it was...
you took it serious.
He told us, you lose this game, you won't get paid. So we took it as a...
It was pride at stake.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how many goals did you score in the first season at Atlanta Chiefs?
I scored many, but the top scorer was Kaiser Motaung from South Africa.
The owner of Kaiser Chiefs?
The owner of Kaiser Chiefs.
Wow. Okay. So you played alongside that?
I played with him. I stayed with him at the flat.
Wow.
We were very good buddies.
I
think we developed a friendship that rubbed on to the game as well.
Great. Now, it was from there that you were snatched, okay,
yes,
to go into England.
Yes, yes.
Though short a stint at Aston Villa, you went with Ement Kapengwe.
Yes.
Tell us your experience playing in England, changing environments.
America showed us what to expect in England. It was tough. It was rough. Some games were rough. But we were lucky we played English teams like Man City, and then Aston Villa. There were teams also from Frankfurt, a team from Brazil, Santos, with Pele in it.
Pele was in there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
you played against Pele?
Yes,
wow.
1968.
1968. Was the greatest. Mm-hmm.
The manager told us this is one of the best teams we are playing. Yeah. If you win, but obviously you wanted more than we could get.
Sadly, you lost.
First, they got Vic Rowe, was one of the toughest defenders we had in Atlanta Chiefs. So the manager said, Vic, you pick Pele. He shouldn't play.
He needs to be caged.
He needs to be caged. Whatever happens, we must cage him. That's a mistake he made.
He was on him.
He was on Pele, and Pele would touch the ball. When he touches the ball, the next thing you see is in the box. They beat us 6-2.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, our necks were rigid because those boys played the ball. Their passes were unbelievable. They would pick the ball and chip it, and before the ball bounces, it's gone.
Did you walk up to Pele to shake hands, probably even trying to
We were gathered. We took pictures with Pele, and it was one of the best moments of our
Great.
stay.
Do you have some of the pictures?
I do, but
with time.
With time.
Okay, so I wanted you, because the most exciting thing, the English Premiership is one of the most exciting leagues in the world and one of the most watched.
No, we got there. We stayed in the Witchboat Hotel, and they would pick us for training every morning. The scenario was different. The weather was killing. It wasn't like in America. In America, it was open, and we could drive our own cars. And in England, you had to be up by 6. You are on that tram. The scenario was totally different. The ground, the snow, the grounds were heavy, muddy, and we are a different breed.
You failed to acclimatize. Did you?
Well, not failing as such. We played, but it wasn't as good as maybe we should have.
You expected.
But we didn't feature in many games.
Yeah, that
we
much
featured in 2 reserve games. We traveled in to play. Within England, they play reserve games. Something that we have missed here in Zambia.
It's important. Why do you think?
Players have got to recuperate. If you are injured, and if you have lost form, you play in the reserves, the manager feels you are ready, then you go into there. But this game that you pick players, straight away they are playing. It could be from Kasama or Chipata, they join in, and their playing first team is a bit on the backside.
What do you think are some of the major changes that have happened to our football? Maybe you could also delve into the issues of VAR. Do you think VAR has killed the excitement, or you feel it's the best thing to have happened to our football?
I think the offside rule has killed a lot of excitement. There are goals that are called out, and if it were in Zambia, my riot.
Especially that you played for Nkana. Sorry, I'm not fighting. I'm not fighting.
I played for Ndola United as well.
Oh, yeah, I know that. I know that. We haven't even talked about you are a trailblazer in Zambian football. I know that you won the first continental championship
Yes.
with Power Dynamos.
Power Dynamos.
Yes, you are the first and last. No, somebody is coming. Yeah. Look, before I ask for your closing remarks, I would like you to share with me the experience that it was winning such a prestigious continental trophy with Power Dynamos. Because you also coached Zambia national team.
Yes.
There is a lot. I'm going to be coming back soon.
Okay. To be honest, a lot of involvement by Mr. Arthur Davis, who sponsored the Power Dynamos. He was a committed man. He sent me to Tottenham Hotspur on 2 occasions to just learn how to manage a team.
Great.
He aligned me to Keith Beckinshaw in 1981 and in 1983. So he would send me for a month, and then I would report for training, just like I'm a player and be part of the group. And then afterwards, I would discuss with the manager there, why is this, trying to pick up points. And back home we were in this Africa Cup championship. We went over to Ghana, we went over to Nigeria, we went over to Mali, many African countries. From the experience that I got from England, from the exercises, the drills that they did, I would sort of make a sketch that we train. The boys, they kept on. I had very good players who adapted well to what I had put up.
Of course, it was in his beating a North African team.
Yes.
In the finals.
Well, and we traveled, and the boys gained a lot of experience.
Extensively.
Yes. And we prepared well. There was one game that we didn't prepare well because we forgot our kit at the airport, international airport in Lusaka. And Mr. Davis wasn't happy with me at all. Luckily, we went to play in Zanzibar. And when we arrived in Zanzibar, we picked our stuff to see where our jerseys were. Our men on duty didn't pick the suitcases. So when we were ready to go for training, we found that kit was short. About 5 shirts were off. So what do? We went looking for red shirts in Zanzibar. We managed to buy
something similar.
And put up quick painted numbers. We won in Zanzibar. That was our luck.
Okay. Maybe something brief about your national team experience, because you didn't just coach in Zambia, you also coached the Botswana national team. You're somebody well decorated.
Well, after Power Dynamos, after winning at Power Dynamos, we had a lot of squabbles. To win that Africa Cup, I went to 2 places to spy on our opposition.
Okay.
I went to Burkina Faso in Ouagadougou. To see our opposition train. And when we came back, I went on a course to Germany. And after Germany, we came back. And there were a lot of squabbles now. People thought, why was I going? I was the only one.
You thought it came with a lot of money. You are enjoying.
I'm the only one who is going places.
They wanted to travel.
They wanted to travel as well.
But why?
And, Power Dynamos supporters were very aggressive. Mostly people from...
I thought it was only in Nkana.
No. It's worse at Power.
Oh, yeah.
For me, it was worse at Power. So we had those squabbles, and I thought we lost we played a friendly game with a team from Zimbabwe, the army team. They beat us at Arthur Davis. Then there was rumor that I was going to go to Zimbabwe. I felt like I was being victimized as
by
coach.
the fans, even the executive.
No, the players.
They started victimizing you.
They thought I was the only one benefiting from the trips, because Mr. Davis sent me to Tottenham Hotspur twice, and then he sent me to Brazil the third time.
They also wanted to travel.
They also wanted
but to
travel.
do what?
I mean, to be coaches as well.
To be coaches. Yeah?
Yeah. Well, they thought I was the one gaining from traveling.
Before you proceed, Uncle, there's something very interesting there. You just told me that it's rough at Power Dynamos. Does it now explain why there is this perennial rivalry between these two teams?
You see, that difference between I came from Rhokana United. Mr. Davis took me from Botswana. And many people thought I was going to go to Nkana, but I went to Power.
You were with Township Rollers in Botswana, or the other team?
No, I went to Tafik at first.
Okay.
Township Rollers comes in later.
Okay.
After I'd left, after winning the Mandela Cup, that's when I left Power Dynamos. I went to Zimbabwe, but I didn't go to the army team in Zimbabwe. I went to Kwekwe.
Kwekwe.
Yes. Zimbabwe Steel Company.
Okay.
In Kwekwe there. That's where I went. I couldn't spend a lot of time there because I found players who weren't as effective as those I had left in with Power Dynamos. The people there believed in juju.
In Zimbabwe?
In Zimbabwe, in that team where I went. Most players were... there were about 3 players from Malawi. And so I couldn't cope.
Bola ya bwanga.
Bola ya kosa. The football there was good. But I said, no, I can't take this approach. So Mr. Davis phoned me and told me that he had moved to Mulungushi. Mulungushi had a team called Secu Chiefs. So he told me to get back, to jump on my bike and go to Mulungushi. He gave me transport. He gave me a house.
Mulungushi was based where?
In Kitwe.
Okay.
Yes. Mulungushi Investments. Those big buses.
So Arthur Davis left Power Dynamos
Yes.
to go and form Mulungushi.
To form Mulungushi executives.
Okay.
So he asked me to get back to executives. When I came there, we developed a team that won championship to go into Super League. But then there was a problem. The Mines were changing managers. Mr. Brian Moyo came to run CEC. Mr. Bantuwonse, Frederick Bantuwonse came to run CEC. So they didn't have the same kind of love for football
as the previous
as Arthur Davis. So they differed on their approach. But at Chiefs there, we won the championship to go into Super League. Now, Mr. Moyo said the company didn't have money to run 2 teams because it was like adjacent. 2 teams were being sponsored by the same company. The team did very well. We ran executives. After that, I was invited by a Botswana team.
The national team?
No, by rollers.
Okay, rollers.
One of the guys I met in Botswana was a roller supporter.
Okay.
But the first time I went was Mr. Liwewe, Dennis Liwewe.
Okay.
He went commenting football at Gaborone Stadium.
Okay.
And then...
he was hired?
I think he went on his trips then. And then he met some people there. He asked them whether there were coaches that wanted to work in
I remember he commentated for BBC at some
yes.
point.
So he gave me a telephone number to contact one of the officials there. And this official immediately got my name. He invited me to jump on the next plane to go to Botswana. So that's how I went to Botswana after executives. And then after winning that championship here against the Mandela Cup, I was invited again to go to run township rollers. That guy said, please, we want you here in Botswana. But then Mr. Malama from the FAS, he was working in Kalulush. He invited me to go to his office in Kalulush to tell me that I was taking over the team, the national team.
Okay.
I didn't say yes. I said I was going to think about it. But then I had a ticket to go to Botswana.
The time you were speaking to that FAS official?
Yes. By stroke of luck, I went to Botswana. Because if I hadn't gone to Botswana, I was going to be in the pram in that accident we had. So that's how I moved to Botswana.
So you would have been the one to go with the team on that plane.
When you see the first picture of the accident, I was on that group.
Oh, really?
Yes.
They thought you had traveled.
They thought I traveled. Then now, whilst in Botswana, people were asking me, we have seen the paper, in South Africa, in Botswana, you get those papers from South Africa. But we have seen you on the picture. Here you are. I said, no, I didn't travel to.
Maybe you are cloned. You can be in two places at once.
Yes. I said, no.
They couldn't believe.
They couldn't believe. But you see, what was more hateful was that I had boys from Power Dynamos. I had about 6 players that I worked with.
On that plane.
And when I heard they had gone, I felt very remorseful. I was downhearted. And fortunately, Mr. Gumbo and Mr. Smata arrived from Zambia to Botswana. They went to the embassy to ask for my participation in rebuilding the team.
Okay.
So they followed me they asked me to go to the embassy, and then the ambassador then told me that these people had come to recruit me to go and rebuild the team. I was fortunate. I came back. I told them I was ready to travel to Zambia, and the next day we traveled back to Zambia. And the story from there, we assembled the team and made the selections. And then we were told we are going to do our training in Denmark. Denmark had offered to help us train the team. Denmark, France, and Holland.
So specifically, what role did you take up at national team in the rebuilding process?
I was the leader of the team.
Okay.
We got there at Bromby, and then this coach, Rod Person, was attached to us to help train the team. So after that time, we came back to Zambia and played Morocco at home. We beat them 2-1. And on the return game, we lost 1-0. We were supposed to go to the World Cup, but we had qualified to go to Africa Cup. Now, when we came back after the final game there, nobody came to say hard luck or what. They just neglected me, sort of. I had a contract with the Botswana national team.
Where they got you from?
Where they got me from.
And you lost it?
And I lost it. When I went there, they told me, no, they can't take me. They've taken somebody else. And I lost the job. Then I thought maybe I could try South Africa. Somebody got in touch with me from South Africa. They offered transport. I went to South Africa with Kwakwa Stars in the Bantustan there. But there I found, residues, I would say. Players who had played, who had been good players, but...
tired legs.
Yes. They wanted me to beat those legs and make a good team. I didn't do well there. We could start very well, maybe score a goal, but these guys would give up. So in the end, the director there and we sat and he told me, no, we are sacking you or we are letting you off the job because we can't win at all. And I came back to Zambia. It was bad. But then when I was in Zambia, he says, look, come
To South Africa again?
To South Africa again. And because I wasn't attached to any team, I agreed. I went back to South Africa. We met in Durban because they were playing there.
The same team?
The same team.
Which sacked you?
Yes. So the car I was driving had gone into a garage. I didn't have transport to go to training. So the first day, we went for training. There was a Malawan guy who was organizing their team. That first training session, in the morning we trained, but in the afternoon, coming back, we had an accident. And that guy died on the spot. And
shame.
I was lucky
To survive.
to survive.
It was fatal.
So I came back to Zambia.
Yeah. Sometimes, football is for ups and downs. Yeah, but one important question that I would want to ask, usually our fans or the viewers of this podcast would want to find out from you in your years of coaching in Zambia, what would be your best 11, your best starting 11, combining the current, the old, if you had to put players, coach now, I'm talking to you as coach. If you had to start players, who are you starting? What is your best 11, your all-time best 11?
Many have played for Zambia. Many good players have played.
I know you're spoiled for choice. But
Yes.
closing your eyes and just picking a player. And don't get upset because they are on the bench. That is interesting. I put you on the spot.
Yes, you have actually.
Please try, Uncle. Try.
We have had very good players in Zambia.
Your best goalkeeper.
Toromeo Mansa.
Who is that one? Is he the Nkafwanayos that we hear?
Toromeo was from Mufulira Wanderers.
Okay. He played for Zambia national
He
team.
played for Zambia national.
When was that?
Through the 60s and 70s.
Okay.
And 80s. I think he died in the 80s.
Okay. Your two center backs? 4-5? Best?
Dixon Makwaza and Dick Chama.
Left, right?
Left. Augustino Wadia.
Our team is being viewed. Swarming. That's left, right?
That's left. Right. Howard Mukuta.
Let's get to the mid of the pack.
Is Boniface Mtowe, Richard Stevenson.
Okay. Boniface is 8?
You're 6.
6. 8, of course, you are putting yourself there.
Oh, you want me to be in it?
No. Yeah, why are you leaving? Because I know you are going to be upset being on the bench. You want to bench yourself?
No.
Okay, let's make a team in which you'll be present.
Okay. ginger pencil on the right. Myself, Willy Kunda, Zumunjovu,
9.
Henry Kalimukwa.
Okay.
See, I've left many players there.
I knew it. You can't. You definitely can't. And for the current and young players?
Yes. For the current?
Yeah, let's get to the current ones. Of course, the KK11. Some of them are KK11 and the Chipolopolo. You pick those that are currently playing, those that have retired. Let's start with the goal.
Kennedy Mwene has done very well.
Oh, wow. Kennedy, you're watching. You just got a note. The coach has picked you. Yes.
Peter Muhango.
Peter Muhango.
Yes. Akim Musenge. But then there's
4-5?
4-5, Dick Chama and Dick Makwaza.
Okay. So Peter Muhango, where is he now? Left?
Right.
Right.
Because, when we play the back four, there are many players there. Late Edwin Imbaso was very good on the right.
So I want a mix of the young and...
Yes. Edwin was the young.
Okay. We are moving to the middle of the park now. Current KK11, Chipolopolo.
Chipolopolo. Chipolopolo, we are talking about Boniface Mtowe, Jan Simulambo. For me, Moses Simwala, Bernard Chanda, Alex Tola, Peter Kaump.
Wow. What is your bench looking like? First, your team is complete, is it?
I left...
okay, you're number 9.
Number 9. Bernard Chanda.
Okay.
There is Godfrey Chitalu.
Godfrey Chitalu. Where Godfrey Chitalu is replacing Bernard?
No, Godfrey Chitalu.
It's a 4-4-2?
Godfrey Chitalu top. Bernard Chanda second.
Okay.
Alex Chola left. Moses Simwala. See, there is also Joseph Maplanga. I mean, that's the Chipolopolo I'm talking about.
Your all-time best.
Yes.
Okay. So in the current one, you can't push in some more? If you are to form your team comprising the current players and those that retired recently, not long ago. You started with Kennedy Mwene, of course. But I think Kennedy Mwene is just alone. I think some of those that you mentioned, legend, some of them belong to the KK11 team. Yeah. So let's get a pure Chipolopolo of the young players, where Mwene is as goalkeeper, or Kalililo Kakonja. I don't know. I'm not forcing it on you. We might as well even end it here if you can't see anyone there.
Our players are not playing regularly as they should.
Okay. So it's difficult.
Like in the olden days, Dennis Liwewe would get a team of the same team to play in the next game. So you could mention players that played in the first team, and you could also mention, you could keep a lineup that played in the subsequent game.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But see, in this team today is difficult because players are dropping in from Europe. Mwamfuati Kangwa, mwamfuati nani,
Daka.
Kabanda.
Which Kabanda? We have Kaimanuel Banda.
Kaliakati ya kuitali.
Kalameki.
Mwamfoyu ati ya ku UE Sakala.
Fashion Sakala. Saudi Arabia.
Ku Saudi Arabia. You see, number consistency tapadi. Ba player naumbe mwamfuku machine fe yadi jumbled up.
Okay.
We can't keep the same team.
Okay. So I would like to get this from you, Uncle, and this is my last, and I mean, if I am to trouble you for this very last moment, if you are to look into your camera there and give advice to the young players that are currently playing, because I was very happy when you spoke about how it felt playing for the badge and not the money. What is your advice to them regarding how to, to respond to national team call-up with passion and patriotism?
You see, that's the difference. If I had to appreciate from people greeting me, I could be a millionaire now. Because I played in Konkola, I played in Chingola, I played in Luansha, I played in Ndola, Lusaka, Livingstone, and many people know me. Today's football, the commitment is totally different. In our days, to wear that Zambian shirt, you had to be good. Because we had selectors from almost the entire Copper Belt. And a few renowned people from Kabwe or Lusaka. And to appear on that national team, just to put the shirt on, you felt you were on top of the world. So, but we used to get, the first that I got, for instance, in my case was 10 kwacha to play for Zambia. And we protested when we played a team from, I think, France. At the Gama Shot, they gave us 20 kwacha. So 20 kwacha, we had to buy uvunga, maybe kapenta, or maybe 10 kwacha petrol. But today's money is totally different from how we played. We never asked for a lot of money. We just said we wanted something to buy kakapenta, kalia, nangu kavunga, and as to compare to now, our young kids, they live in heaven. They get too much money, and some use it effectively, but some use it to drink beer and do other things. But what I would want to advise these youngsters that are playing, love that shirt. When you put on that shirt, you are playing for Zambia, you are playing for 20 million people. And each touch you make, just know you're carrying about 1 million people on your head. Put in some commitment. Instead of talking about money, people will appreciate you more because you are giving to them it's unfortunate also we have lost Dennis Liwewe, who also sold football to the general public. But he's gone. Now it remains to a player to show his might that he has skill to present to the country. So I would ask our young lads to make a commitment when you are called to play for Zambia. It's a major call. That's the best I can say.
Thank you very much. Well, you've been watching the Godfrey Chikumbi Football Podcast. This is the very first episode of our podcast. We've been chatting with one of the most celebrated football players, a living legend himself, Freddie MWILA. I call him Uncle. I met him in Kabwe, and from that time, I've never rested. We've been pursuing this conversation for a long time, and today we've successfully done it. Hope you have enjoyed watching it. Look out for another interesting episode next week. Thank you and see you soon. I've been Godfrey Chikumbi.